Woohoo! I'm madly trying to tell everybody that's on. So if you're already here, well done. You're ahead of us. Give people the academic 5 minutes to come in.
Yeah, I'm still such a streaming amateur. I'm kind of frantically looking around at all the buttons and, too scared to click anything. In case I blow up the world or something.
And I need the link, actually.
How do we get the link?
Did you tweet it out, or?
I haven't tweeted it out yet. No. Is it just the link to our Twitch channel?
Yeah. I can probably actually just find it myself.
For anybody that's here on time, you're seeing professionalism at work.
We probably should somehow cut when we export to YouTube.
Yeah.
We'll need to put like a... Sorry, I just got it quick.
I don't know. There's something nice about, it's like when you go and see a band play live and they make loads of mistakes. There's something humbling about it. So maybe we'll just...
Or does it just sort of like completely break the immersion, or like the illusion that they knew what they were doing all along?
Yeah, I apologise if anyone thought Matthew and I were remotely professional, but here we are.
That's all how it goes. Cool. How are you, Rory?
I'm good. Yeah, it's actually not raining in England today, which is nice. It feels like it's been raining for about 2 months. So,
oh really?
I'm going to go into London later on today, and go and see an exhibition and just have a jolly good time. So that'll be nice.
What's the exhibition, Rory?
I've forgotten the name of it. It's at the Serpentine Gallery. It's a sculptor. It looks quite nice, and one of the sculptures is outside. So yeah, I'm hoping that the weather carries on being good. And actually, the train I get comes into Paddington, and you can walk to the Serpentine from Paddington, which goes through not Hyde Park, one of the parks. It's quite a nice walk. So yeah, I'm hoping for good weather. That'll be nice.
Yeah, I remember when I discovered Paddington had all these like canals around it for the first time, and I was like, oh, this is actually really nice when you just get out of the bit of station and I don't know, maybe I'm getting confused actually.
No, there is a canal that runs next to it, yeah. I mean, I think it's always with these things, you can get so ingrained in just using the subway system, the underground, that you just kind of forget that a lot of the time you can walk and it's not that far, and you get to see interesting stuff. So yeah, I kind of feel like I haven't really been out of the house much over the Christmas break, other than the obligatory Christmas Day walk and New Year's Day walk. So yeah, I'm looking
work off all that turkey and
exactly, yeah. And how's things with you?
It's good. It's good. We obviously it's in the evening here, but also had a good Christmas break. Try not to work too much, which is good. And yeah, just had some nice time with family. It's the first time we've had a Christmas with me and my two brothers all at home with my parents for probably maybe 15 years or something. Very long time, actually. Would have been last year, but a few people got COVID, so that made it not possible. But thankfully this year went well. Yeah, so that's nice. And just slowly getting back into it. I mean, people who I've streamed for something different in my house from when I streamed the 1 or 2 times before Christmas, but we've finally bought shelves to put games. I've had games sitting in boxes for a year since I moved back to Australia, so you're
a real board game streamer now.
I know. Well, they're not artfully arranged behind me to show off what I'm doing. And my wife has offered to curate the shelves. So at the moment, I'm just dumping everything onto them, and then she will artfully rearrange them. But I realize they're in the living room, and I've put a lot of stuff on the top, kind of decorative things. But probably it's not really fair. It's mostly my stuff than it is our stuff. So I should remember it's not my office.
I imagine your board game shelving system is similar to mine. If it sits, if it fits, it sits, and that's kind of it. I don't really, yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't get calyxes. It was a little bit frustrating because I had calyxes in Prague. So we have these kind of things which are kind of like calyxes, but then I'm sure you can see actually, like every certain number of shelves are just like double shelves, which I guess in some ways is kind of nice.
I think that's better. I think that's better because then you're not beholden to the that classic thing of can't buy a game because it's too wide for a calyx shelf, which I think there are a few offenders in that category.
That is true, but at the same time, I find like yes, while if it fits, it's good. You have the problem that if what's the point? If like nothing, I don't know, the bigger the space, and if things don't pack well, it's just more space for things to kind of like be a mess.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely. I tried to do that with these ones. Have like little mini divider shelves.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
I probably need to do more of that because I have a lot of small box games, and small box games don't sit well together. They just end up.
I know, and they're so deep. The shelves are so deep, so it's sort of it's hard to know how to use that space effectively. But anyway, I'm sure that's why everyone's. By the way, are you seeing any comments, or is
no? No. If anyone is here, no, that's just that. If anyone's here, please do say hello so we know that things are working well.
I think when I went on to the Twitch, we were definitely streaming correctly.
Okay.
It might be just that we're not particularly popular. That's all right.
Let me post a comment and see if that comes up. So that's come up here. So yeah, please don't be shy. Please say hello, and then at least we can know that is working.
Anyway, and hello to everybody who I guess will be watching this on YouTube later or on Twitch, because So
yes,
today,
not the easiest time for folks in the US. So apologies.
That's true. Yeah, it's always hard to find a time that. Well, we're covering like two of the like three equidistant kind of continents. So we did our best. Anyway, so what are we talking about today, Rory? It's been a long time since we've streamed together. I'm trying to think when the last time.
I think the last time was a year ago, actually, when we did our look ahead to 2023, and which I think we did in 2022, actually. But I think we pretty much accomplished the things we said we would accomplish. I mean, a couple of the additional maps that we announced, they came out a bit later than we hoped, but I mean that's just how it is. And I'm still, I'm proud that we're not putting out things that we're not 100% happy with. We have got some comments.
Hey.
Games. Hello.
We are not alone. Hey, Rob.
Hello, Rob. Thank you very much for dropping by.
Rob must be on like a wavelength or just really good at just. Because, I mean, I personally am not very good at advertising when I stream, and I don't think we were particularly good at advertising this stream necessarily. But in every case, Rob is just there.
I send him a telekinetic.
Very good.
Yeah, we're our brains are electrically connected somehow. So we did our 2023 round or look ahead, which is the last time we streamed together, and I think it's the last time we streamed together anyway. And I think we announced the campaign mode for Voyages, which we released during the stream, which I'm still really pleased with, and I know that it's not something that everybody who backed or bought Voyages has played, but for those that do enjoy it, I think it seems to have gone down quite well. We also announced a new map for Aquamarine, which we did release, the Penguins map, and the map 6 for Voyages as well, which did come out much later than we had planned. But again, we fiddled around with it, and I think we got to a better place with it in the end. So that's just game design, isn't it? Sometimes that happen, and if you do have the benefit of time, which I suppose we do because we're not beholden to needing to get files to manufacturers or things like that. So
haven't been bought by Asmodee yet, so
we're not exactly yet. Our Star Wars license isn't expiring, things like that. We can we can take a bit of time, and I sort of appreciate that, having that bit of luxury. And so thank you to everybody that has been patient with things that we said would come out, and then we're a bit further down the line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how's 2023 gone in your mind, Rory? We haven't exactly prepared our.
We haven't. I mean, I stressed it would be an informal chat. Yeah. I think 2023's gone well. I'm really pleased with how Postmark has gone. I mean, from a personal level, I think 2023 represents probably the most time that I've invested into the business, into Postmark Games. Just because we're getting to a point where we can earn enough money where it makes sense that I can kind of work on it alongside my other paid work as a graphic designer. So that's been pretty cool. I've been pleased about that. We've mentioned it before, but Matthew and I kind of never really set up Postmark Games as it wasn't really intended as a business, at least not in the short term. We kind of set it up just because we wanted to get an idea out there, and then Voyagers did so well that we thought, well, we kind of have to now. And it's been great, and it's nice. I don't know. It's nice to be able to devote a lot of my time to working on projects which are closer to me than my other freelance work, I guess. So yeah, that's been really nice. How about you? What would you say your 2023 highlights and lowlights were?
I was gonna say, actually, with Postmark, it's true. Like, I think, as opposed to freelance work or freelance game design, even, you don't have that same sense of getting to build something. I sort of feel it's a really nice feeling that we've managed to build this thing, and also I kind of hope it keeps going, and it's sort of but it's something that it's like its own entity, more than any particular game can be. I find like, even if you work really hard on a design and it gets published, things get forgotten so quickly. I saw what was it? I saw some video about some people looking back on, like, comparing their 20 top games of 2022 maybe, and looking back a year later, and like one game fell off somebody's top 10 list just because, like, oh yeah, I just completely forgot about it. It was sort of like a cold reminder of how the industry works. But kind of publishers are different, and having, I don't know, I don't think I would have predicted that. It's a nice feeling. I know I think there's certainly some pressure at the same time, although I think we've done okay to sort of I don't know, to not, I don't know, like, we're a bit punk, or just lazy or inexperienced, not I don't know, not trying, let it take over our lives, or I don't know.
I mean, it's still, I guess we both have the luxury of being able to continue other work alongside Postmark Games. I guess for a lot of small business owners, the small business is their main income. So maybe there's a bit more pressure to grow, or to to be earning enough to take a salary and things like that. But we both are in the pretty privileged position where we can work fairly flexibly alongside. We can do Postmark alongside our day jobs, which is really good. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call Postmark Games a lifestyle business, because, like I said, I mean, it's probably 50% of my time, or it's hard to work out, because obviously there's more time invested in when we have Kickstarters on and new products that we're releasing. But it definitely feels nice that we can sort of go gently with Postmark. We don't need to kind of rush into things, hence why it takes us maybe a long time to release new products and things like that. But again, to me, that's a nice thing, because it means that we can take a step back from the pressures of what you might have running a small business, and just be like, well, actually this idea isn't quite right, so let's just sit on it for a bit longer. And there's not really we don't need to release games, although, you know, I do appreciate that is part of what being a publisher is. So yeah, it's been pretty good. I'd say 2023 was a pretty good year for us for Postmark Games. We obviously we released 2 new games, both of which I'm really proud of. One is a game that Matthew and I designed, and the other is a game that we published from David Thompson and Nils Johansson, Battle Card. So that was pretty cool as well. But I think with both of those games, I think they're a good representation of what I want Postmark Games to be. I think they both kind of keep pushing forward the ideas that we started with Voyages and that we kind of wanted the game, the company to be.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I think on both. I mean, taking Waypoints firstly. I mean, personally, I think it's actually probably the game I'm most proud of that we've done, like ourselves, designed for Postmark. I think it was just one of those cases where, like, the theme and mechanism and everything, like product and illustration, really just gelled really well for me. I know it's there are like a few mechanical things. I think that, you know, the sort of variable number of turns and things, which maybe in hindsight, I was actually thinking, I mean, maybe, you know, we can pontificate. I was thinking, like, for Waypoint series, if we do a series 2, I was sort of wondering whether we would slightly change the way the weather track works so that you have like a fixed number of turns. Because I know that's a bit of a bugbear for solo players and trying to sort of compare, or like what a good score is. But anyway, but for the actual, like, the experience of playing the game, it feels so different to, not only does it sort of is such a good representation of the theme, but it's also so different from anything I've played in the sort of roll and write genre, like whether it's print and play or published, or like traditionally published.
Yeah, me too. I'm pleased with how it came together, and, you know, I think as well that that's another example of a game that we kind of we took our time with. I think, you know, potential, you know, mechanical the kind of divisiveness of the weather track aside, I think there was, you know, it was we had an idea for that game, and then we just kind of worked on it until we got to the point where it was well represented, and that was really good. I'm not saying we didn't do that with our other games, but it's just nice that we could, you know, I think we both, when we had the idea for Waypoints, we both kind of appreciated what it could be and just kept working until it got to that point, and that was nice that we could do that.
Yeah, it's nice we got there. I should say also hi to Craig and hi Oliver. Thanks for dropping by.
Oh yes. Hey folks.
Craig's an Australian-based designer who we were part of it wasn't my playtesting group, but a short-lived playtesting group before I left Australia in the first time, like a very long time ago.
Oh, okay.
So, well, unfortunately, Craig doesn't. Neither of us live in Sydney anymore, and we don't live in the same place. So, that's the vagaries of Australia, unfortunately. But so no, really happy with Waypoints, and kind of excited to see where we go. And it feels like people are enjoying the new map, the coastal map. Kind of excited to. I mean, it's always a good sign when I have, you know, like we have ideas for new maps and they feel kind of exciting. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to do this? Wouldn't it be cool to do that? I would say it's probably easier than, for example, Aquamarine. I think, like, right, it's hard. I don't know. I don't have the same sort of like experience or inspiration for vastly different underwater things. I mean, I'm sure folks will now comment or reply, you know, with a whole bunch of new ideas, which will be good. We will take them. But I think it's exciting, and obviously our plan will be to keep supporting the game, and you know, obviously, at least I think we never say that how many maps, but I think, you know, we sort of think 5 is sort of a good sort of minimum to reach for each game, and, you know, if we do more, then we do more. But, you know, I'd like to think we'd get to 5 at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's just it kind of by keeping it a little bit open gives us the opportunity, if we have some inspiration, suddenly have inspiration for you know, new Voyagers map or something for Aquamarine or a new waypoints thing, then we can work on it, and it's nice because then it gives us a little bit of freedom to work on things that interest us, which I think is always, I probably have to word this quite carefully, but I think when you freelance and you're working for contract a lot of the time, I don't think anything really beats the kind of the thrill of being able to work on things that you're really interested in, which I think is partly I try and only take on jobs which I'm genuinely like the sound of, if I can. Again, I'm coming from a position of great privilege to do that, but when you work on your own things and particularly, I've got a great new idea for a map, then that energy, I think you can feel that energy in the final product. Hopefully, anyway. Hopefully, folks can kind of get a sense of that.
Yeah, definitely. And no, Oliver's right. Yeah, having $1 per map, that makes sense. Or ADP, it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's great. Although I will say that something I've definitely embraced over my years of working for other people is working on things which are kind of outside of what you normally do is a great way to learn new skills and to grow. And I try and as much as possible take things I've learned from my day job and apply them to game design, because I think there's a lot of things, you can very easily get kind of narrowed into something, and being pushed outside of your comfort zone can be a great thing sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it's true. And I think that actually segues quite nicely into Battle Card in a way, because that's sort of a different way for us to sort of push the boundaries a little bit, at least of what Postmark Games is doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, we were just incredibly fortunate that David and Niels thought of us and really approached us and see whether we wanted to be involved with a game that had already been designed and illustrated, and that they were actively working on and had poured so much of their expertise and passion into. And we're just like really lucky to sort of be the ones that they sort of entrusted with it, really.
Yeah, and also I think, I've not personally not worked with David or Niels before, but they came to us with what was an almost finished product, but were very receptive to the kind of the development suggestions that we had to kind of, I guess, bring to bring it in line with what we kind of see as a Postmark game, and I think that was it's a mark of professionalism, I guess, that they were so happy to do that and work with us on that. And I think what we've ended up with Battle Card is a really great system, which I appreciate is not for everybody, because it's a solo only game and it's a war game. But I think for anybody that's remotely interested in either of those topics, those things, then it's a great way to kind of just to get involved. And also, I think what a huge ambition that all of us had, Matthew, myself, and David and Niels with Battle Card, is to try and make a war game as approachable as possible. And I think it really succeeds in doing that, because you literally can go through the rules step by step to play a game, and if you don't like it, then you've maybe spent 10 minutes of your time on it and hopefully not invested a lot of money into it, because it's only $5 or £4, and you've got a sense of maybe what playing a war game might be like, and if you do like it, then it's a great springboard into a huge world of other games, and I hope that's what it can achieve, and it certainly seems that way from the feedback we've got from it.
Yeah, and I think what I didn't quite expect also is not being a war gamer at all myself, I'm probably in that camp, really. And when you play it, you realize the great skill in being able to distill these historical events into these quite simple mechanical scenarios, but that they're still very evocative of that. They don't kind of lose so much in that representation, and they're not educational games, but as someone at least who's curious about these things, and it's a great insight into it. I should say thanks, Oliver, for dropping by, and
Thanks,
catch us on YouTube. And he said earlier that David is, and he is an incredible designer. I was really fortunate to meet him in Cambridge. He was part of the playtesting group there, and he's just, I think, incredible designer, like amazing kind of work ethic, or like just professionalism. The amount of projects he works on, and the kind of the way he sort of like carries himself in the industry, I think is just really incredible, and he manages to do it all while still having a very, as I understand it, like quite full-time job. So I definitely and Neil's, like, I didn't know Neil's before, but like his work is kind of just speaks for itself, and is just sort of, I think, the kind of the diaries he would write about, especially I still remember like the one about grayscale, and he just has that kind of insight, that I found it fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a really positive experience for us working with other designers, because I think I guess we're really, like we said, really lucky to kind of partner with people who I think understood what we're trying to do with Postmark Games, and we're very receptive to getting to that vision, and also had a kind of that level of professionalism and quality, which meant that we could just have a fairly kind of umbrella view on it, and just guide them, rather than have to be really kind of pushing them in a certain direction, which is not necessarily something I want to do as a publisher. I think if we do release games where we work with other people, I kind of want them to be an expression of what that person or what that team does, rather than us being very heavy-handed. So yeah, I mean, and that, I guess, leads us in nicely into what we're doing this year. I was about to say next year. It is already 2024. I can't keep hiding from that fact. So yeah, this year we plan to release a game by another partnership, which I think Battle Card showed us kind of a way to do it, and that's been a really great thing that we can kind of take on board and utilize. So so we've got another game, hopefully coming out in April, which is from another designer, and it is going to be a straight to our web shop game. So it's not going to be a Kickstarter, for a few reasons. I guess the primary one being it is a print and play version of an existing game, a game that is already out there, and kind of we felt like that was the best way to release it, I guess. So yeah, I think April is probably the time. I'm trying to not be careful about what I say, because we haven't kind of, we're still crossing the T's and dotting the I's, but it's looking pretty likely that will happen in April.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I think the point about it being kind of collaboration, because it's reminded me to water the garden.
It's important.
Well, that's true. Actually, we have a much nicer garden than we did in the previous rental. So the landlord who we're directly renting from is actually a landscape gardener design.
So you got to look after it.
Well, we have like a fully like going tomato plant that's just giving us tomatoes like every day at the moment. So it's a nice little bone. Probably, definitely the nicest rental I've ever lived in my life. But anyway, I think I've always seen it. I think we've seen it as they're really like collaborations rather than sort of publisher designer sort of things. And the same is here. This is it's actually another publisher who has their own aesthetic and audience and mission which I really agree with, and I think you do too, Rory. And I'm just really excited to kind of sort of help them, reach a new kind of audience. And yeah, no, that's really exciting. Rob does mention it'll be interesting to see how the game goes with that crowdfunding hype. True, but leading on from that, so in April we'll announce the collaboration. Hopefully that this game will immediately be available web shop. But at the time, we'll also announce that we'll be doing a Kickstarter of a completely new print and play game from that same publisher. So it'll sort of be a kind of a 2-for-1 deal. One is an existing game, one will be a completely new game, sort of designed kind of with Postmark in mind, or at least the kind of print and play format in mind. And we would hope to kickstart that in the kind of, we've sort of hit kind of June, July, the last few years, and we'll probably hit the same sort of slot. At least that's the plan. So we will, so that'll kind of be exciting. I think it'll be very different. I think that's the other kind of cool thing. Like it's just a great way to, widen what Postmark is doing. Because we will make certain type of games, but we don't change too much. So it's kind of exciting to work with other people.
Yeah, again, it's that, like we said, it's I think stepping out of your comfort zone sometimes is good, and we never really set up Postmark Games as a publisher, and I think as you alluded to, Matt, we're sort of at pains to call ourselves that still. I think treating releases that are collaborations with other people, other teams, exactly as that, as a collaboration, and trying to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I know this is a kind of maybe a bit of an ethereal way of putting it, but it's that I hope the sort of games that we put out are it's almost like a curation. Like we're not they definitely are fitting within the guide, within the walls of what we consider to be a Postmark game, but also it's just things that we find interesting and that we want to, like you say, find a new audience for. And so I think that is going to be a really fun time next year, seeing how that goes and working with new people. So I'm excited about that. And also
importantly,
sorry.
Oh, sorry, you go. Keep going.
I was going to say, for anybody that's concerned that Matthew and I have hung up our game design boots, we are still working on projects together. I think we have maybe three kind of ideas that are that have some legs to them, that we're sort of working on and talking about concurrently, and we'll see which one wins out in the end. But hopefully we will have another game designed by us out later in the year. It's probably sort of November-y time, which will be another game.
We always talk about that. We wanted to kind of we thought one of the bits that was successful or helped with the success of Voyages was that kind of November, December Kickstarter time, and we haven't kind of got our act together to kind of try it again. So I think maybe third time's the charm. Maybe we'll be able to get that forward. And I should say, the other kind of benefit about this collaboration is, for those people don't know, I'm expecting my first child very soon, so it's giving just me a bit more time to. I'll probably not be so full time on games for a few months. So it'll be good to it's a little less pressure, obviously, working with collaborators and rather than us designing our own thing. But I'm really excited about the game. I don't think it's any. I think we've talked about it, or I've alluded to. We really want to try and make a game with playing cards as kind of randomizer, and definitely the few of the kind of ideas at the front are trying to aim to do that. So I think we're both we know we're going to do it. It's going to just be a question of exactly when. And we've said before that it's good to have that freedom and flexibility to really wait for the games to be good, basically. For us to be proud of them. And I think we were really sort of crunching, or we thought we maybe would release something at the end of last year, and it was actually kind of quite freeing to say, hold on, let's not do that if we're not happy with it, or we don't have to, work that kind of crazy schedule.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like, I guess it's one of the reasons I'm sort of hesitant to lock us into any particular game is last year. I think Waypoints came out, not out of the blue. I mean, that's perhaps the wrong expression, but we were kind of working on a couple of other things, and then we were chatting one day and had this idea for Waypoints, and then we were just both very clear that would be the next game that we would release, and again we were sort of able to feed off that excitement and that creative energy, and knowing the kind of product we wanted to make with it, I think was really great, and being able to shelve other games that we were working on in favor of that was a great experience, and it's not something that I get to I get to experience a lot with my day job, because often I'm for anybody that doesn't know, I'm a graphic designer, freelance graphic designer, and usually you get given a job and you see it through to the very end, and there's you're sticking to a brief, and you're just fulfilling the criteria of that brief. And so being able to just run with an idea when you have it is really great. And one of the things that I hope that we can maintain with Postmark as we get as we grow, as the scope of what we do changes, I think I'd always like to maintain that of like, here's a great idea and I think it would make a good game, so let's do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the joy of the print play format, right? Like the length of time you can go from an idea to the game is great. And yeah, I completely agree. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'd kind of forgotten that. Yeah, we didn't really. I don't know. I think we were sort of that we had like some deadline in our mind. It's like, oh, we really I don't know, like maybe by April we really need to know what the game is. If we're going to do we need to know whether we're going to do a Kickstarter or not.
Yeah.
And it only really came, like March or April or something, like kind of really like close to the time we'd have to kind of say, okay, maybe we're not going to do doing Kickstarter or something.
I mean, I think there's a funny thing with games is that you can. There's almost like a tip over point where you're working on something and you kind of it's going to be it's going to be a game. You kind of get to that point, you're like, well, there's issues, there's problems we need to fix, and but you can kind of, it just suddenly becomes visible, and you think, well, we just need to fix these things, work on this, develop this a bit more. And I think once you get to that point, it's there's still lots of work involved, but you can kind of quite comfortably say this will be the next game that we're releasing, because you kind of know it's achievable. Whereas I think like this going into this year, with our next release, as in the next release from you and I, Matt, I think it's nice to just keep that openness until something does click. And again, we have, as we said, we've got that freedom to do it, to just kind of play with ideas until we get to the one where we think, well, this is this might be the one that is it. And actually, one of those ideas, I think you sent over yesterday or the day before, which we both quite excited about. So that may be it. Who knows?
Yeah, like I was sort of reflecting on it a little bit. Like I feel like it's, for me now, it's a lot of times you need some combination of inspiration. It's not even like one thing. You need to sort of have, it's like you need like a thematic or a setting thing to sort of come at you from a different angle. And then for that idea, for example, we were sort of talking, there had been a comment in Discord about a style of game that somebody would really like to see. I probably had that in my mind. I picked up some like old books just also randomly yesterday that were of the same kind of theme, and so I had that in my mind. And then I think it just has to click with an idea, or at least, it's really hard when you only have one side of the equation. And so I guess you go through all these different like half ideas and you sort of work on them. But then when something comes along and it's the full thing, then you're like, usually it's a lot easier to be excited, and it's kind of easier to work on. And that definitely happened with Waypoints. Like I think we had like both sides of the coin figured out, and it's so much smoother. I completely agree with what you said. Like, yeah, that point. That's for me. Like design generally, that is the I guess it's the biggest relief more than anything. I was going to say like it's the happiest bit, but it's just relief when you're like, oh, I put all this work into it and into a thing, and it will be a thing. There are so many things you kind of put work into, and they never are a thing. So it's yeah, exactly, that kind of tip over point is really good. So yeah, we'll see how we go. And I'm also trying to, I guess, well, I'm not there yet, but I'll probably have to readjust my expectations of what I'll be able to do this year. But I'm hopeful that we can get one game, and yeah, obviously still supporting the other games, and but I think that's a bit of a different it's a different kind of thing, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that will be exciting as well, because we'll have the next, or the final map from Battle Card, I think, in the next few months, hopefully, and obviously then we've got our waypoints and Aquamarine, and potentially even Voyages. I mean, Voyages now has six maps and a campaign mode, and I think, as Matt said, we never want to say anything's finished, because I mean, I still find myself thinking of ideas for Voyages all the time, really, and again, I think that's sort of the joy of being able to work on things that really interest you, is I think they never really leave your brain. They just get shelved somewhere, and then something will will knock that off the shelf, and you'll pick it up and think, oh yeah, cool, I'll have a little think about that. And I definitely find that as for me, as a less experienced game designer than you, Matt, I find that actually a nice way to just kind of flex game design muscle in a way which is maybe a bit less strenuous than thinking of brand that like completely new concepts. It's a nice way to I mean, I've definitely learned a lot by working on the additional maps that we have for our games, and yeah, I think it's really interesting, and a great way, for me, again, as well as someone who is still fairly new to game design, I think it's you have a system already in place, and you can very quickly try things and work and see if they work or not, because you've kind of almost got the foundation there, and you'd be like, well, I'm going to apply this layer onto it and see what happens, and that's really great. And I think I definitely think there's still scope with all of those games to do new and interesting things, and kind of look forward to doing that in the coming year.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't tell you about this, but I had a comment from somebody recently who played the new Voyages map, and they said to me like, oh, it's great, we like the new map, but wow, you put so much work into, you could have just given us like a different set of contours, different actual map, and not just all these new mechanisms, and we'd still be really happy, it'd still be kind of a different experience. It made me realize like how much I love, I guess, going a bit further than just moving things around a bit. I can't just, but it's interesting how that works out, and it really is like a fun kind of exercise for your brain, as you can sort of try different things, even with a kind of with a solid system.
I mean, I find it as exciting as when we have new game ideas, when one of us is presents a new thing for one of the existing games. I mean, it's a different kind of excitement, but it's the fun of, oh, that system is going in this direction. And actually, one of the things I was really excited about with the latest Voyages map that we did, which I think maybe Rob will be able to cast his mind back to, but it used some of the elements from the very, very first prototype of the game that was designed, and it was kind of fun to go full circle. The game has moved on quite a lot since then, since that very first prototype, but actually going back and applying some of that thinking to the current system was just a really was a fun experiment, and stuff like that is just a cool thing to do. So I'm glad that we've we've kind of committed we've committed to this way of working now, and we can't go back, and actually I think it's it's cool, and I like it.
Yeah, and speaking of kind of older games, I mean, the other thing we were sort of talking about is that I think one aim, like, I guess we're now moving a little bit more into kind of like the nebulous goals, in that I don't know if we really, these are things, that we may happen this year or not, but I think we really hope to get a game onto Board Game Arena this year. I think our games are pretty well suited to that. I think we've thought to try and have a digital version one way or another. It feels like the easiest, like the lowest barrier thing is Board Game Arena. Even though there's a part of me would love to have like a dedicated app someday with like amazing sound effects and a little bit of animation or something. Like I think that would be, especially for Voyages, I think it would just be really, really great. But yeah, I would love to get onto Board Game Arena and kind of figure that out. Because I think also it might help some people, like playing that way. It'll make some things a lot quicker. So that could be fun.
Yeah, so that's it's definitely out there as something we want to achieve this year.
And if anyone's listening and knows how to code in Board Game Arena, like get in touch with us.
Please do get. I mean that's something we can be proactive about as well. But if you are if you're in the chat or you watch this later on, Intro Games,
Ludio.gg, I don't know. I will check it out.
Thank you very much.
What is it? Yeah. I guess then I'm not sure if we didn't have a time limit in mind, but do we want to chat about just a quick betting about numbers?
Yeah, let's talk numbers. Shall I share your screen? I mean, that's
You go. So, I see. Sorry, Chris. Yeah, I knew that was Chris. Actually, I forgot that. Yeah. Another print and play publisher. But anyway, yeah, I will check it out. I mean, obviously, some folks might know that I talk about board game finances a bit, and I will be doing my own personal finances on my own stream sometime soon, I hope, or on a newsletter or something. I don't know, some form. But I know we didn't do this for the Postmark last year, but I'm kind of glad that we can kind of do it this year. And just kind of maybe briefly just talking a little bit how sales are going. People might find this interesting. So this is our basically our sales for the year overview, and these are the direct website sales. It doesn't include the Kickstarters. For reference, Waypoints did about £25,500, and Battle Card almost did £16,000. So let's call it about £40,000. And you're obviously you're paying from that. You're paying your Kickstarter fees. You're paying credit card processing fees and that sort of thing. And this is so we've done a little over £31,000, which is kind of a bit crazy considering how well. I won't besmirch you in this, Rory. I'll just put myself at how amateur I am in any form of like digital marketing or just marketing full stop. I don't think we do a lot to like point people to the website ourselves. I know you're better at things than I am.
We don't. I'll just jump in quickly to say, I mean, we do. It is something we've invested some money into this year. Is getting some marketing consultancy and putting some stuff in place. And I think we do. Whilst we don't do a lot of digital advertising. In fact, I think we've only tried that once. I think we do. I think we do a lot of organic stuff between the two of us, and also we have the benefit of having a very successful Kickstarter as our first game, which then gives you a bit of an audience that you can then market games to. And I think also having an understanding of what our audience wants was quite a big thing for us, because not saying that we're kind of specifically making games for certain people, but it does give you a kind of an understanding when you're working on things of what might be popular and what might not be, or what level you should be kind of pitching the complexity of the game at, all sorts of different things. We have an understanding of that, and that's been really good. But yes, I think it is interesting that most of the stuff you can see on this graph at the top here is all kind of is not really advertising, although kind of there are some peaks where we've where we've launched Kickstarter products, games on Kickstarter rather, which obviously then it kind of is a form of advertising because Kickstarter do a bit of a kind of a marketing push for you as well. So that definitely helped.
I mean, that leads into, folks might wonder that first big peak around April is not a launch of a Kickstarter. We didn't launch a Kickstarter in April this year. And that's when we were featured in a Shut Up and Sit Down review. So for everyone who talks about this Shut Up and Sit Down effect, here's another point about it. And I was telling Rory before we started, it's kind of interesting. You could even look, even like far after that peak, we've never really settled down to the level we were before that peak. Part of that is that we've released 2 more products, which means that, average orders go up, which kind of like raises the baseline. But at the same time, I think there was obviously a very profound effect at the time, and I think that's lasted long beyond that. So, I mean, that was, we had sent the games to them, but we didn't, that was like well before the review. Like, I don't know when we probably sent Voyagers not that long after we made it, maybe, so this is, like a couple of, at least a year ago, basically, before the review. So, I mean, we just thought, oh, well, you try these things and they don't just happen. But this was just really, I mean, I can't really kind of understate that it had a, and then when you compare to even like more that kind of a organic kind of marketing or advertising is just amazing, I guess.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You shut up and sit down.
yeah. I think it's. I think we were. Well, there's obviously a lot of things that have to line up, and I think the games were in their inbox and they were planning a video on kind of small games, so that fit in really well. So that was really great, and I think like you say, I think you can see the spike when the video was launched, and then another great thing that Shut Up and Sit Down do, or at least they did do for that video, is have links directly from YouTube to where you can get those games, which is a really great thing to have, and obviously drove a lot of sales to the website. And then that's just like you say, we've kind of, I guess, had the knock-on effect from that afterwards. Although it's worth saying that the kind of the next kind of peak we get is in June, which is the run up to.
It's probably the actual campaign, I suspect.
Campaign for Waypoint, which again is another chance for us to talk about the games that we already have, and folks can go and grab those straight away and play them, which I think it has a twofold effect. Is one, if someone's excited about the new game, they can go and kind of see the games that came before, and also if someone's new to this style of print at home gaming, it gives them a way to try it out, see if it's something that they like. All of the games are very different, but the format is kind of similar. So that's I think a really nice thing it's great for us because we get more people checking out the games, and I think it's great for anyone who's interested in the Kickstarter because it's a little bit of a, you're not trying the actual game, but you can try something similar. And then the next peak in July is when Waypoints was launched on the web store, so you could go and buy it for anyone who missed the campaign. And then there's various different, kind of peaks and troughs as we go throughout the year. Some of those will be content creators releasing videos about the games, which obviously then drives interest. Some of that is us talking about the games ourselves on social media,
or releasing new maps.
Releasing new maps is another way that the folks come to the website. Obviously, when we did Battle Card, that's another spike in sales, and then I think throughout going into November and December. I mean, one of the things we did do some market research. Really, we did an audience survey. So thank you to everybody that got involved with that. It really helps us kind of shape the games that we make. But I think games that people can play over the holiday periods is really great because obviously, other than Battle Card, which is a solo game, all of our games can be played over video chat, which for people who can't be with their family on Christmas Day, I always think, Voyages, Waypoints, Aquamarine are great ways that you can have a little bit of interaction with your family without being in the same room with them around the sort of Christmas time, the holiday time. So I guess there's a bit of a rise in sales around that time. And then I think the final sort of spike there is we had a feature on Polygon, an article on Polygon, which is primarily a video game website, but they have started doing a lot more board game content, which is really exciting. So yeah, it was great to be featured on there as well. So that kind of represents, I suppose, our year in sales.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously Voyager's still selling pretty well, about half of our orders. And yeah, so no, it's anyway, for those who's just really interesting, if you have any questions, put a comment on the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube, or ask us here. But I think the other thing, of course, that's the kind of real advantage of you can make us probably a bit bigger, Rory. I don't know if we.
Yeah, there we go.
That's all right. No, it's fine. I was just like, this is different. We've got black screen. It's like cinematic mode or whatever. Like as the great thing about being a print and play publisher is that you can keep your full catalog in stock effectively. And as you make more games, you see more and more people, ordering multiple things in one order. So that's like also really encouraging that folks come and like buy everything, which is, also really helps. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, but I still feel very fortunate, especially I think with the, I think with the Kickstarter, we both know, you put a lot of work into a Kickstarter, and maybe we don't have to put the same time because, we have like a graphic designer who just happens to be part of the company, but, not so much money, but a lot of time goes into that. And so, you look at that return in that view, but I think I'm always kind of amazed by the website stuff that, we are benefiting a lot from other things that we're not necessarily directly doing. Sometimes that we are directly doing, but it's like, I feel very fortunate to have that, I guess, and hopefully it'll keep going. Hopefully people will keep. And I should also shout out Rory, because you wouldn't shout out yourself. That would be a bit weird. Rory's done an amazing job redesigning the website recently. So if anyone hasn't gone to the website recently, postmarkgames.com, check it out. I think Rory's done a really great job, and I think it's a lot easier to kind of tell, what our games are and kind of range of what we're doing.
I think we probably, I imagine this is a trap that a lot of first-time publishers, games company, game studios fall into, is that we quickly design the website after our first Kickstarter and when we had one game, and then I don't think I'd really touched it since, and now we have 4 games. So it obviously needed to scale up and it needs to be a bit more usable. So I'm pleased it's hopefully a bit more user friendly. If anyone does have any feedback on the website, we're always happy to hear it. So let us know. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. I think looking at obviously the Kickstarter, the numbers that we do on Kickstarter are publicly visible. Anyone can look at those, and as Matthew said, we're very keen to be open about the kind of income we're generating from the website as well. Just because hopefully it's something which helps other print at home publishers or other people who are thinking about self-publishing. Obviously, we've been hugely lucky with, as I said before, with Voyages helping us build a bit of an audience, which has allowed us to kind of roll with it. But I think it's always good to share these things and to be open about it. I mean, I suppose the only piece of the puzzle really which we haven't spoken about is how much income we take from Postmark, and that's only because it's kind of a bit in flux, really. I mean, I think, as I said, for me personally, I'm probably in 2023, probably spent about 50% of my time on Postmark, and I think probably worked out about, in terms of the income I took, was probably about 50% of my income was from Postmark as well. So at some point we can do numbers on that too. I'm happy to do that, but yeah, I mean, I suppose, I guess I'm just want to stress that it's it's not like passive income, which is a horrible term that some people use. It's I feel like it's I'm still incredibly happy and fortunate that it is income that I can earn from doing something I love, but there's still, I think you and I work very hard at it, Matt.
There's nothing passive about it, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I think passive income is probably maybe there probably is, if you're like hyper rich, a way to make money from doing nothing, but
well, I mean, it's always, if you've got money, it's easy to make more money in some ways. But
that's true. Yeah.
But what was I going to say? The other side piece. Well, we didn't talk about costs either. And while of course we do avoid a lot of costs, actually the main thing out of that I don't think in Wix, that's not showing like PayPal costs or credit card transactions and that sort of thing, and obviously tax, etc. So that's just like top line revenue. It's not it's not net income or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we're very fortunate that we don't have to pay manufacturing costs, but we still do obviously pay costs elsewhere that other board game publishers pay as well, which is like costs, digital subscriptions for websites and email marketing platforms and all those kind of things, which are in this day and age are a necessity for for running a company, and yeah, so all of that's factored in as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, thank you for the kind words.
Oh yeah,
on the website. Pleased to hear it's working out well. And yeah, thank you, Rob. Yeah, it's it's good. It gives me a bit more flexibility as well, which is always good.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're about an hour now, which is kind of what we scheduled the stream for. So if anyone's got any questions in the comments, please do ask them now.
Yeah, and I should say also, feel free to comment on YouTube afterwards, or thanks very much, Chris. And do come on the Discord. That's another kind of thing that we didn't really touch on, but still really, fortunate to have some great folks over on the Discord who help, our captains who help, manage that. And, it seems to still be, I think, a fairly, welcoming and kind of active kind of community. So,
yeah, actually, that's one thing. Maybe I'm springing this on you now, Matt, which is probably not the best way to conduct business. But I think one of the things I would really like to do is, which we've kind of always talked about, and I would really like to do it this year, is to just play through some of the community-made content for. There's quite a lot for Voyages. There's some really interesting community-made maps for Aquamarine as well, which kind of take it away from the setting, which I think is quite, which is a fun thing to do, to be able to kind of remix that. And then most recently, I think we've had a community-made expansion for Waypoints, which is cool. And most recently, someone has made a community-made map based on a real-world location. So I definitely want to do that. I think that's probably an idea for a future stream, is to play through some of the community maps, and we try and make it easy for folks to make their own maps. But obviously, there's still a lot of effort and time that goes into making them. So I think it's just a really cool thing to see other people take your work and to put their own slant on it.
Definitely. Maybe it's once a month we can have this Postmark YouTube channel have a few more things on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'd be great to highlight. Yeah, I think there's some really creative work, and it's a great way to get started in game design as well. I think, we're sort of talking about that it's a different kind of thing when you're working with a system that sort of works, and you get to kind of tinker with that. And I think that's really, but just seeing the kind of creativity of how far you could take it, beyond that is
definitely
really great.
I'm just going to put a link to the Discord in the chat. So if you want to have a look at those community maps, or you want to talk about kind of any Postmark stuff, or it's just a nice board game community on our Discord. I've just recently set up a painting channel for mini painting, which is my new thing. I could probably hold one up here.
Oh,
here's a mini from Starship Samurai that I've been painting. So if you're painting minis or you're playing some fun games and you want to chat about them, please come over.
Maybe I'll have to set up a Lego channel for all the Lego I'm building.
I did make some Lego over Christmas actually for my nephew. Wanted the actual thing but not to build it, so I was drafted.
Oh really?
So I was drafted into making, because to me I think the building is the fun part. So it was it was the symbol.
It's a win-win, I guess. Yeah. No, I don't have anything built at the moment. Actually, no, I think it would be great to have something to show. But I have a backlog of things to do. So yeah.
Well.
But well, but that is a good point. I will, and I know that one of our captains I saw who is moving has a very large Lego collection and was talking about the difficulty of moving it. So kids, Dark Geek's got a big box. I think they spend more time. Yeah. I mean, that's you mean spend more time like building just random things, I guess, than building the suggested things. Oh no, you spent more time than they did building all this. Oh yeah. No, I mean
I was gonna say I do like that with Lego, where they give you kind of other things you can build from the box, and you can go and download the PDF instructions for them. I think that's a fun thing.
That was always the thing I love about the vintage sets, because actually on the box they had the old, they don't do it so much now, I think, but you always on the back of the box they'd have like the 2 or 3 other things you could build, and I always loved that. That was really cool. So.
Yeah, although from my recollection of them, they never quite had the structural integrity of the main build. I feel like they maybe had to cut some corners to get
that is, I think, a fair point. No, that's true. I never really, I think I very much have to follow the recipe. That's something I'd love to do, a little bit more creative Lego building, and just trying new things.
I should send you a link to my brother's Instagram channel. He does his own Lego stuff, and
maybe I can get a lesson.
That's a whole other world of creativity which I haven't ever delved into. But
actually thinking, because I picked up some random lot, which this is actually a small part of a much bigger set. I'm sure
that's nice.
It's like the lunar lander. So actually the set it's from is from the Saturn V rocket, which is sort of funny because the rocket itself, I think, is like 1 meter long or something.
Wow, okay.
It's huge. So this is just like a small little mini build next to it because it goes in the rocket.
Yeah.
But I love like all these little things. Like it even has like a little mini American flag like on a clear tile. Cool. I'm sure you can see it. Yeah, anyway. So I didn't build that, but I kind of like buying these huge lots and sort of trying to remake sets, and so it's always fun to find little things like that, which is cool. But
there we go. We need to make a Lego game one day, Matt. That's
yeah. Well, there were. I mean, of course, there were Lego games. And Brett, who we both know, he actually used to work on them a little bit, which is cool. Oh, Dark Satanica, you are speaking that is my that's basically like, I think I am slowly collecting Lego, and that is my complete, that is my era, like late 80s, early 90s Lego, especially space. And like all the Space Police and Blacktron and Spirit. It's like every year they'd come up with like a new. I was thinking this. Sorry, no, we'll stop. People can leave because it's gonna. But it's just funny. For me, Lego is sort of defined by like pre and post Star Wars Lego.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was like that was the time when they realized, licenses work, and so they don't really make those classic themes anymore. But you think of like castles and pirates and space, and they were just so inventive. And there were actually all these. There was like an Indiana Jones-esque theme called Adventurers and Western and all these amazing themes in the 90s. And now it's just, I mean, it's sort of inventive in a different way, and I still appreciate it. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but it's just Star Wars. Everything's Star Wars.
I guess they had like the Ninjago stuff. I mean, that was like their own IP, wasn't it? I mean, they have
no, that's true. They've done a
few.
There's Monkey Kid, I think it's called, which is another Asian inspired. I'm pretty sure that's like an IP they developed specifically.
Right,
in fact, I think they even made it. Like Ninjago has a TV series, and I think Monkey Kid does as well. But they're really. I actually remember when Ninjago launched because we would go to Nuremberg, which is like the toy fair in Germany, and for board games, like to pitch board games, Brett and I did. And like board games were one hall, but there was one hall which was like the premium hall. I heard rumors. I don't know if this is actually true, but I think the people who had stands there never took them down. They basically rented the hall for the whole year. And these were people like Lego, Mattel, Hasbro, like the massive ones. And they'd have like, you couldn't go into their stands or anything. You would just, but of course with Lego, you could still see some things in the windows, and they'd have some big. And I remember when they launched Ninjago, because it was a big thing. It was their first like them really trying to push their own like a new IP, I guess, a new Lego IP. And it's like the only one that's kind of succeeded. I think they've probably done a few other ones.
They did. The only time, I mean, I think probably the time I stopped collecting Lego, they used to do. I mean, this must have been like 20 years ago, like 15 years ago. They were like anime style, like mechs.
Bionicle, right?
Was it? No, it wasn't. It was another one. I mean, it was really short lived.
Like Exoforce or something.
It might have been Exoforce, yeah. And I think that was. But they were really great, and they had some really fun pieces in them too, like all the ratchet joints for the arms and the legs and things. You could do some fun things with them. And I think once they stopped doing that, I think that's when I dropped off. That's when my Lego phase stopped, and I haven't picked it up since. Although, like I said, I did enjoy on a few days after Christmas when we went up to Josie's sister's getting to build some Lego. It was a nice throwback. So maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll get drawn back in.
Yeah, no, I think. Well, I mean, we're the audience now. They're now making like $1,000 sets to just sell to us whales or whatever. So at some point I'm probably going to break down and buy one of these like Lord of the Rings sets. I'm not sure if you saw the Rivendell set. If you haven't, it's quite magnificent. But
I haven't seen it. I'll have a look at it. I'll go and I'll seek it out. That's when
I wouldn't seek it out. Yeah, but it's,
okay. I was going to say that's when you need to start converting like a loft, isn't it, into
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's how do you? Yeah, it's for me. I think I enjoy. Again, it's like I enjoy the building, but then I was thinking maybe I'll have like one shelf here, which will be like a featured shelf, and I'll just like build one thing for a month and then put it away, and so you enjoy it a bit. I
think my brother, his solution is he's built some shelves high up in my nephew's bedroom, and he's just put all his Lego builds around the top of the
How does his son feel about this? Like,
I think, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to have in your room as a kid, isn't it? But there definitely is a thing. Definitely is a space consideration, isn't there, when you built them, especially these huge sets like that. Saturn V rocket you were talking about. I mean, it's not something you can just easily store somewhere. You probably need to hang it from the ceiling.
No, exactly. I mean, I guess but I mean, they're different kind of. I mean, also like there's these like botanical, like the flowers, and I know that Brett in his house, instead of flowers, like he just has all the botanical sets.
Oh, that's nice.
It's kind of cool.
That's quite cool. Hey, Chris. Good to
very tipped. Yeah. No, I'm glad I don't buy new Lego. I think it's easy. Like if I thought about, I'd spend far too much money. But anyway, but yes, we can think of a Lego.
There's only a finite number of hobbies you can have, I think.
That's true.
You've got to decide. You've got to pick your battles, haven't you? Maybe I think Lego might be a retirement thing for me. I reckon that's what I'm going to save it for.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to think of it, actually. But because I want all these like vintage sets, I kind of have to like. I have this feeling I'm going to kind of buy them, or like have these like piles of pieces that I'll sort of like go through like a treasure hunt in like 40 years or something. But I'll just have to hold on to the tubs until then.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
I
think I might have to go. I should.
Yeah, we've gone slightly derailed. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully you're only interested in the Postmark stuff. Hopefully you've stopped by now. But otherwise, it's a bonus Lego chat at the end.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll attract a whole new audience. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's it. We'll just start streaming about chatting Lego. That'll be our new thing.
Well, and minis painting. It could be a whole new lifestyle stream. It all fits. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming by. Thank you for everyone who commented. It's always the stream isn't the same if you don't feel like you're at least talking to someone through the medium of the written word. And hopefully, I hope everyone has a great 2024. With whatever you're planning or whatever you're doing. And I hope to see some people. I'm hoping to come over to Europe later this year. So it'll be good to catch up with folks if possible. But and maybe we'll be streaming a bit more regularly. Who knows?
That'd be good. And I think the next thing I'm at game wise is HandyCon in Milton Keynes in a couple of weeks' time. So if anyone's going along there, do come and say hello. Otherwise, I'll catch you at some event in the future.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, good to chat, and see you next time. Bye.
See you, everyone. Bye.